White purple. Okay guys, welcome back. So on this episode, I'm kind of excited. We're going to be talking about what it was like to walk on day one, your first job, right? Compared to what it is now. So I've got 12, 13 years of experience as far as the welding side goes. And I'm going to bring the welding side of it and then what it was like to walk onto your first $100,000 job, your first $500,000 job, things like that. I'm going to bring that side of it. But then Cabe, he's going to be bringing his first job and where he's at now. So, guys, for everybody that doesn't know, Cabe Clark, he's got a welding channel, Clark Sparks Welding. It will be in the description. You guys go follow him. He's got a lot of really good info, a lot of cool videos. I think it'll be beneficial to everyone. So, anyways, let's get going. All right. You first. What was it like day one? Where were you? Not necessarily where the job was, but as far as in your path to being where you're at now. Because I know you were in school still.
Yeah.
So what was that like?
So being in school and working?
Yeah.
So being in school and working, it was super interesting. It was like, it was really weird. I hit this point where it was kind of I guess I almost got a little bit arrogant because I was like, all right, yeah. Now I've been on a job, I know more than all of you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that, guys? And I don't care what you have to say. Anybody at the school, I was like, oh, I don't care what you guys have to say. I just got off a job making $3,500 a week. I'm that guy, you know. That's what it kind of felt like going back into school while I was working. That first little bit, but
how did it bite you?
Oh, I got humbled so quick. I had that attitude for probably a good couple weeks, but then I had gotten a call that I had gotten like 6 cutouts or something from that job, and so then it was a really like public thing that got out that happened. So everybody at the school figured that out. A whole bunch of different people figured that out, and they made it known that they figured it out, and that I really wasn't that guy. I'm not that guy, and so then that was really good for me because it humbled me and brought me a little bit back down to earth. That I mean at the time when I was acting all arrogant and stuff, that I didn't know that I'd messed up that bad, but man, that did wonders for me.
So it brought you from a level of school, first job, back down to maybe you didn't know everything.
I'd say it brought me back down to like an almost I know nothing.
Oh, like low.
Yeah, pretty low.
Yeah. So that was his first job. And my first job, very similar experience. Except I was scared to death because I was freaking broke. And I knew I'd been on a lot of inspection jobs as far as like the welder helper side of it goes, but I'd never been the guy, right? So I get down there and I take my first test. I bust this thing. It's 5 minutes. No, it was probably less than that. I give it 2. I tried to put a bead in and a piece of 6-inch. Hammered this thing, right? Had no money, couldn't get back home. Stress levels were maxed out. Talked him into giving me a second try. I got through the test, made through the test. Dude, 2 6-inch, 2 2-inch. Took me a solid 10 hours to do this whole test. Now, I could have it done in a couple hours and it'd be done, right? No, not then. I just full 10-hour day. Get on my first job. The first weld I ever got paid for, ever. That it was a piece of 12-inch 375 wall, which is pretty thick, guys. For everybody that doesn't know pipe schedules and wall thicknesses, 375 wall, pretty thick chunk of pipe. I think it's equivalent to 3/8, right? Yeah, it's 3/8 thick. So you should not have had any problem welding this thing. It was filled out. Like, all I had to do is cap this thing. They're like, yeah, run up there, cap that, and then I was on the firing line is what it was called. Come across the bottom. I blew a hole in the bottom of this freaking piece of pipe, big around as a quarter, dude. That was my first freaking weld. So I blow a hole in this thing, and Bob McQuarrie, he freaking comes up to me. I won't even tell you exactly what he said to me because I got a butt chewing on that deal. But basically, it was like, dude, that ain't going to freaking work. Well, I knew as soon as I popped that hole, I told the helper that was helping me, I said, hey, man, roll me up. I was like, it's over. Like, we're getting laid off for sure. And anyways, Bob come up, ripped my butt for like a solid 5 minutes, and then said, go to the next one. I'll have a welder roll back and fix it. And I was like, oh my gosh, dude. The stress. Oh, it probably, if he hadn't have done that, I don't know that I'd still been welding. It was that scary. Right? But you're only allowed 3 repairs on a oil field job and an oil and gas job. I caught all 3 of them in about a day. Yeah, dude. I should not have been welding, but the stress level was insane, dude. And so I caught all 3 repairs. I remember being in a ditch, and I was down in this ditch, and we were doing a tie-in. Why they had me in here? Got me. I don't know. Anyways, I was with a guy named Joe, and the inspector, we called him Little Mikey. He probably couldn't have seen over this table, but he says, Jake, I need to talk to you when you get done with that. I said, all right. And he left, and I told Joe, I said, well, Joe, I said, man, it was awesome freaking working with you, because I knew what was coming. I was getting laid off. I was getting run off, not laid off.
Right.
They were going to ask me to leave. and anyways, so I get done with this weld, and I walk over to Mikey's truck, and he flat told me, dude, he says, you are hands down the worst welder we have on this job. He's like, you have caught all your repairs. He's like, you are the worst welder on this job. And I was like, yeah, I know, dude. Like, I understand. He's like, I've already talked to all the welders, all the inspectors. They love you. Just keep going. But try not to freaking mess anything else up. That's not exactly what he said, by the way. Keeping this G-rated. But anyways, yeah, dude. And I was the last welder on that job. Everybody else had left or went somewhere else or whatever. But I was so bad that I just stayed on that job to the bitter end, baby. I rode that cow clear to the end.
Heck yeah.
That was my first job. But compared to that job and getting knocked down to where, like, you had to get knocked down and then you had to go back to school still. You were in school.
Oh, I was in school when I got knocked down, gotten humbled real bad, but yeah, I mean that really, it shut me down almost, like
almost to the point of quitting. I don't know for you, but for me that would have been right on the verge.
Yeah, I mean I was close. I was pretty upset about the whole deal, but I mean obviously I stuck it out and kept going, but it was like, okay, now I'm just going to shut up and I'm just going to work hard and do the best that I can, and I don't care what anybody else has to say, and I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah.
That's what it was. That's kind of what, after I got done, being pissed off or being sad about it or whatever, I said, all right, now.
Game on.
Now it's all in. Now we're.
Yeah, there's no quit.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So, Cabe, so that was his, well, no, you'd helped me before that.
Yeah.
On a couple shutdowns.
Yep.
Yeah. While you were in school, you'd come up, or we did the fish food processor up there. You did some of that. Then he went on that job. That was like the first real job.
Yeah, the first real job that I traveled for.
Yep. Then at that point, Cabe has been with me since. And school, other jobs, traveling, like you've been to Washington. North Dakota, Idaho, Wyoming, Wisconsin. Yeah, so Kev's been all over the country since that point. And being on those jobs now, like compared to number one job to this last job, what's the difference?
Well, I mean, there's a huge difference that comes with experience and, being humble as well a little bit. I wouldn't say that I'd say I might have a little bit of
which we all love.
An arrogance problem.
It is awesome. It's funny.
I really try hard not to be like I was coming off that first job at one point anymore. That's not a good way to be at all. So I think when I'm walking onto a new job, it's not so much an arrogance thing that I'm super awesome because I get to come work here. I've had all these experiences now, and it's almost it's confidence really is what it is.
Yes. It's not an arrogance anymore. It's more of a confidence.
Yes. The
nerves go away way quicker.
Yep.
So I still get nerves. Like even going on a new job, still to this day, I'll have nerves for like 2-3 days. And then I can mellow out and actually go to work.
Yeah.
But I think it's the same way. It's like throughout the experiences and learning what you've been learning and like stretching and growing, it makes getting on that next job and having all that information from the last ones.
Yeah.
The confidence builds and the nerves go away a lot quicker.
Totally.
But I'm the same way. So, but as of now, going from the welder to creating a business, dude. Liza? Yeah. Oh, okay. So as far as now creating a business, like going from the welder to creating a business, it's the same. It was like day one again. Like being nervous like that. When I got my first 6-figure job, right? Scary, dude. Oh my gosh. Getting welders to come up and help me, making sure you cover payroll, making sure that the job actually goes good. Because they're not going after your welders. They're going after you. Right? So at that point, it's just like day one of welding. It was scary. And then you start moving into bigger jobs, and you need more welders and more people, and then you start spreading guys out. It's all day one stuff, baby. Like it gets pretty nervous, but as far as what other questions, Dan?
How do you handle that now? So you talked about you still feel that anxiousness, but what do you do to get over it? How do you get over being, even as experienced as you are and having the first 3-day jitters, how do you get past that mentally, right? Because otherwise it's just going to technically be the whole job. Does that make sense?
So I'm going to ask you that. So as far as like the jitter side of it, how do you get over it? Because I didn't have an answer.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
How do I get over, I guess, the jitters or the stress of something new?
Like, do you go to the mirror and psych yourself up and like, hey man, we're gonna, or do you just meditate? Like, how do you envision yourself doing good on the job? What do you use to get past that?
I think it's just showing up.
Yeah.
I think at that point, like when you get those jitters and you're nervous, you can't quit. Otherwise, you'd never have a job,
Anymore, I mean, after that first job, I just don't get scared of anything anymore.
Yeah, that was a pretty scary first one.
Like, there's just, and I think throughout life and, having experienced a few hard things, I just don't get scared anymore of anything. There's nothing that really frightens me that much. Like I just get to thinking really if I start having those self-doubting thoughts or start creating scenarios in my head, I just start thinking to myself, nothing's really as bad as it seems. I create more problems in my own imagination than that are actually there. So if I can remember that, then I just lock in and say, yeah, whatever. I've done this 100 times before, or yeah, it might be new, so most likely I'm gonna suck at it, but
I'll try.
I don't quit, so
Yep.
just keep going.
Yep. I think a lot of like probably my nerves come from trying to meet an expectation. You know what I mean? And so like for me to be nervous and Liza, what are you doing? I love you.
I think she'll be okay because she's downstairs.
Okay.
And she's really faint in the back. It was different with Balin because he's making sounds right here and it's shaking the camera.
Oh, okay.
That
She
will
gone.
shake the camera.
She gone. Anyways, so where the heck were we? Oh, expectations. Yeah, I think that's a lot of like my new nerves. Not only at the beginning of my welding career, because I was trying to meet an expectation and I couldn't. Like,
Yeah.
skill level to that expectation, I couldn't meet it at that point when I first started.
And I think that was what was so disappointing for me after that first job was that's what I was trying to do. You know, I had made it so there's this expectation of like now I'd almost made everybody believe that I was like a superhero or something, that I could do something that nobody else could do and whatever. And so getting humbled like that really kind of made it so now I don't care. I expect stuff of myself and that's that.
Yeah.
You know?
You expect more from yourself than most people would ever expect from you.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so I focus in on that, not so much what everybody's going to think of me.
That's from that point of it, my nerves as far as not like now running a company, I just have good welders. Like my stress level, I watch all these other dudes that have welders, right? All these other companies that run these jobs and they're running $1 million jobs or whatever. They are stressed to the max. And it's because they don't have good welders, they don't have good fitters, they don't have good labor hands. And that is one of the things that I really dial in on is what welders do we got? What fitters do we got? And the funny thing is now that I've actually created this team, right? This group of people that is, I mean, you couldn't get better people. They will weed people out for me faster than I can weed people out for me. Like the Wisconsin job. You guys had guys up there that you just, it wasn't jiving.
Right.
Things weren't jiving. And so we'd get rid of them. We'd get somebody else. And these guys handled the whole thing. And so at that point, my jitters, my worry, I don't have to worry about it no more. Like dealing with bigger and bigger jobs, now my nerves are way less because I have good team players. Guys that can handle situations, guys that have been through the ringer. Like some of the jobs that we were handling early in the business were flipping hard jobs.
Right.
Like they were hard. And it created this team of guys that went through the fire and actually went through that hard time. And now we have like the A team. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so like my worries and my jitters are no longer, I don't really worry too much. I feel like I can accept any size job and know that it's going to get handled.
Totally.
Did that even make sense? Okay. What's up?
Okay, well, that didn't make sense. So a follow-up question then, because I know in this video they haven't seen the other video, so we don't necessarily need to mention the other video, but same kind of idea. You're talking about to getting over those jitters, having expectation, but not such an unrealistic expectation, right? That you get jitters. But then what about the tendency of if you're going to lower your expectations so you're not getting jitters, that you become complacent or you're not at that pressure, right? How do you find the balance between not having unrealistic expectation and creating more stress and jitters for yourself, but also not becoming complacent and burning out and going nowhere? Does that make sense?
Dang, he has hard questions.
Also,
what? Give me the next
if
one.
this is a question you don't feel like would make sense for your video, you don't have to answer it. Like, it's your video, it's your
Which
channel.
one?
The one I just asked.
Well, no, I'm
just trying to think of that because I was thinking...
You answer it. You seem to have an idea of what you want to say.
It's just like there's really nobody can tell you like where your performance level's at. You know, my 100% might be 10% for you. So when I think about that question of, you know, when is it okay to say, have realistic expectations without being complacent, it's just being realistic. I mean, being halfway done with welding school and having this expectation that I can do everything is just not realistic. That's super silly to think. Or having this idea that I'm some kind of superhero and can do whatever I want with no preparation and no skill. That's super unrealistic. But being realistic, I guess what that would look like is I can prepare and I can expect to pass the welding test. And that may not be how it goes every time, but I can expect to pass the weld test and I can expect to get onto this job with the proper preparation.
That's it. Being prepared for it. Getting the people in the right spot. Getting, you know, your skill level up to where it needs to be. Take a lot of the jitters out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you very much for hanging out with us. Thanks for Kate for coming on to the show. And then we'll see you guys in the next video. If you guys enjoy these kind of podcast, interview, YouTube video kind of setups, let me know. Tell us what you want to hear about later on. Leave it in the comments. Just kind of what you want filmed. What do you guys want to know about? And just things like that. Anything to help you guys out, we'd love to do. So we'll see you guys all in the next one. Be blessed. See you later. Okay guys, welcome back to Schofield Welding. I have Cave Clark here with us, Clark Sparks Welding on YouTube. That link will be down at the bottom. You guys should go follow his channel and you guys are gonna learn a whole bunch. So in this episode of, or podcast or whatever you wanna call it, we're gonna be talking about our best 3 tips of making money. Dude,
we're not telling that stories. Those stories. We're not.
I got video.
It's recording. I'm getting this from you.
We're not.
Now everyone's
No.